right. So I'm Melissa from RCM. This is Nate. Just for a quick background on us, both Nate and I have spent over 10 years in the healthcare industry. Like Joe, we got our start at Epic. We were both on the claims and remittance team there. After Epic, we both moved on to product management at Experian Health, which was formerly Passport Health, and then Nate moved on to healthcare IP. Nate continued to focus on claims and remittance, and I moved on to work in the contract management and the patient payment estimates space. And then recently Nate had spent a few years working in various senior management positions within healthcare operations. We started Switch a few years ago just in hopes to help our customers capitalize on the value of their data. As you all know, there's so much data out there right now, and we really see organizations struggling to capture it and then understand it and then use it in a truly meaningful way. So we designed a few solutions to help with this. Overall, we're a rev cycle management company. We focus on revenue recovery and payment optimization, process automation, and analytics, primarily in the professional billing space. So we've seen that PB is often not a priority for large organizations, just because of the high volume and low dollars that is typically associated with it compared to hospital billing. So even when an organization does have its own analytics department and they've implemented things such as Click, their focus is often on clinical applications or on hospital billing, and it leaves professional billing without a good way to really manage their data and their revenue. So we've designed a few products to help with that. One of them is our contract management system. It integrates directly into Epic, allowing for automated contract build and maintenance of the payer contracts directly within Epic. And then we also have products that focus on accounts receivable, charges, payments and adjustments, and claims and denials.
And so one thing I'd add on the process automation is that we are actually feeding data back to Epic that triggers workflow activities within Epic to do things such as resolving small balances that you don't want staff to work. So Joe, you mentioned feeding data back into Epic. That's something we're doing, and we're actually creating the output files right out of Click.
Awesome.
All right. So the product that we're going to demo today is specific to professional billing underpayments. So every organization struggles with underpayments. Payers are constantly changing their contracts. Oftentimes, even within your organization, you struggle to get access to even see those contracts. And even if you are provided access, the contracts often come in a PDF format. The PDFs make it basically impossible to automate anything or maintain that automation, even if you do eventually get that set up. And then also, even if you do have your contracts within your EMR system or within Epic, the reporting that's available to either see those contract rates or to get to the underpayments is often not as granular as you often need. And then trying to track down underpayments manually in a system such as Epic is basically impossible. It is incredibly labor intensive. So our current underpay solution tries to take away as much of that headache as possible. So we try to take away the headache of working with your payers, interpreting those contract terms, or waiting on your IT team to help you with something. So our product consumes 837 and 835, so contract and remittance files directly. We can either get those from our customer or we can get those directly from their clearinghouse. If we get them from their clearinghouse, there's actually no IT involvement to set this system up at all. So our system uses that data and applies various machine learning algorithms to this data to determine what the appropriate contract rate should be for the common procedures in your data for your top payers. So essentially what we're doing is automatically determining your rates and then modeling those contracts. From there, we have additional business rules, payer rules set up in our system to determine what the correct allowed amount should be for each of those procedures. And then from there, we compare that allowed amount to what the payer actually paid on the 835 to determine whether it was appropriately paid or if it was a potential underpayment. All right, so Cedars-Sinai is one of our clients that uses this tool currently. To date, they've recovered over $4 million in underpayments using our products, and they're in the process of recovering a significant portion more right now. They also use our products to model all of their payer contracts directly into Epic, and they've estimated it saves in between 1 to 3 FTEs per year. All right, so I'm going to jump actually into our application. All right. The underpayment detection application is a pretty simple application. We have a brief overview screen here, and we do use quite a few of the Vizlib extensions. The extension or the visualizations that you see here are all from Vizlib. So on the right, on the left, I'm sorry, we see just the potential underpayment amount for the organization over time. So in this case, we can see, and again, just like most of the others, this is demo data. So it is based on one of our clients, but it is PHI free, so no worries on that one. So we can see the potential underpayment amount, and below that in purple, we can see the actual amount that the organization has recovered. So we can see that there's about a 25% recovery rate right now at this organization. Below that, that metric is broken down by the contracts. Again, as demo data, we only loaded 3 payer contracts into this application: Aetna, Blue Shield, and Medicare, just for simplicity. On the right-hand side, we can see our top 10 offenders list. So we can see the places of service that are causing the most underpayment amounts in the organization, as well as the top 10 procedure codes that are gathering the most potential underpayments. Below that, the procedure codes are grouped into procedure types. So we can see that we're having some issues with E&M codes and radiology primarily. And then finally, in the lower right-hand portion of the screen, we can see just a heat map of when each of these payers is potentially having some issues. So we can see that Aetna was really struggling to pay appropriately in Q3 of 2019. Blue Shield had some issues they consistently have issues, but they had some major issues in the middle of 2018. And Medicare pretty much is relatively clean here. So looking at that, and then this Medicare graph right here, that tells us 2 things. Number one, that our system is accurate. For those of you that are in the revenue cycle space, you know that Medicare pays pretty accurately. So you shouldn't be getting a lot of underpayments from Medicare. So the fact that our system is showing only $123,000 worth of underpayments compared to $2.5 million worth of underpayments for the other payers shows that our automatically calculated contract rates are accurate. That said, we can see in recent months that Medicare is greatly or has many more underpayments than they did in previous months. So if we wanted to look into those months and Medicare, we can drill in and see what type of procedures are we receiving underpayments for. So we can see on the right-hand side that it's a 99442. So I'm going to click on that just for those that aren't familiar with that procedure code. It is a non-face-to-face physician service. So telehealth, COVID related. Everyone was struggling with that. Just because I know this client's data, I know that the MAC that was paying these services was having issues with this service paying appropriately at first. We can see from the graph for Medicare that the majority of the underpayments have been recovered. And I know this happened naturally. The payer realized their error and then they corrected their payments. Moving on, if we want to take a look at Blue Shield. Blue Shield is a good example of a payer that the organization is working with. So they've had about a 50%, a little over a 50% recovery rate for all of their potential underpayments. We can see that their potential underpayments are still there, but they're going down over time. This organization has been working with Blue Shield, has provided data from our systems, and we have seen results. So the purple line indicates that we're receiving corrected payments. So our underpayment amount is going down for this payer. There's a different story for Aetna. So if we focus in on Aetna here, Aetna has more underpayments than Blue Shield, yet we can see almost no purple line here. 0.4%, or yeah, 0.4% of the underpayments have been recovered for this payer. So again, just because I know the situation behind the scenes here, I know the client has been working with Aetna, they have had meetings with Aetna, and have not turned in any data. It was more of an overview meeting. Aetna and the client determined what the situation was. It was a essentially like a credentialing error with individual providers. So the issue stemmed from each individual provider that was getting underpaid. Aetna said that they were going to take care of it and no more data was needed. We can clearly see from our app, since we continually monitor this, that they might have taken care of it, but they certainly didn't repay the amount that they said that they were, or that they would. And Aetna not only owes beyond timely filing, so they owe beyond that 1 year because it was their issue, they also owe interest on this. So it really is in their interest to, or their best interest, to pay this back as soon as possible. So I know our client is currently going back and providing more data, more specific data to Aetna to get this taken care of using our application. If we wanted to continue on and look into that Aetna data, or that Aetna issue, we can move on to our provider related data page. So this page shows you, excuse me, this page shows you some more details. It's not the fanciest looking page, but it really helps us get into the root causes and patterns for these underpayments. We can view the underpayments by classification, so your taxonomy codes, providers, place of service, and a variety of other things. Because I know this Aetna issue was based on providers, I'm going to go ahead and look at Aetna providers. So the charts here show you all of the providers in the system. Again, de-identified, these are not real. It shows you the providers that have the most underpay count. So out of the services that they've provided, this provider has 1,000 services that were underpaid, which is 50% of the services that they rendered. So I'm going to go ahead and take a look at that provider and go back over to the timelines. Again, Aetna told us that they took care of this issue. So we can look at this provider over time. They consistently over the years had underpayment issues. But as we look at recent quarters, so quarter 3 actually has 0 underpays. They're not even on this chart. And quarter 2 of this year only had $280 worth of underpayments. So just looking at that trending, it looks like Aetna did actually take care of the issue for this provider, even though they hadn't repaid it yet. So now I'd like to look at current issues. So we looked at that provider didn't have any issues, but let's actually go over to the provider related data for Aetna. All right. So now I'm looking at 2020 quarter 2. So these are providers that have recent issues with underpayments. So this provider here, she had 72% of her recent services paid as underpayments. So we're going to look into that provider. So going back to the timelines, this provider also had consistent underpayment amounts over the years. It looked like they might have taken care of it in quarter 1, but going to quarter 2, we can very easily see that this provider's issue was not taken care of. So we can grab providers from that most recent quarter, turn those back into Aetna and say, you know, you actually didn't solve that issue that you said you were going to using the data that we found in this application. All right, now moving on to our reporting page. Again, this is a Vizlib extension. This is their custom reporting, which if I can brag about Vizlib for a minute, this is an amazing amazing extension. I absolutely love this one. This extension allows you to create reports on the fly. So we have all of the 837 and 835 data parsed. That data is or can be available in this application. Again, this is demo data. I didn't want to de-identify every field on a 837, so we have limited data in the demo. But all of the fields on the claim and remittance are available in this application. You can create reports on the fly based on what you want to report. That said, just from our experience, we know what providers or what payers typically want from us for appeals data. So we've created a pre-made appeals form based on the data in the system. And from there, you can customize it to your needs. So in this case, we were looking at that one single provider for Aetna. So we can just right click and export this data. It is all pre-made with that provider's Aetna underpayments and turn that into Aetna and say, you know what, this is not what you actually said you were going to do. We are still getting these. And it has all the information that the payer needs. That said, if the payer comes back and says, you know what, I know we normally ask for these 10 fields, but in this case, we need more. The user can quickly come in here, go through the fields that are available, and add additional items to the report. So let's just add easy ones, modifiers here. They can quickly add the fields. If they wanted to move them around, they can do that and sort and whatnot, and then re-export the report to give to Aetna. So it's a very simple tool that makes a very powerful difference. Does anyone have questions on the Vizlib form or anything that we're doing with this?
Yeah, Melissa, I do have a question. It seems like you bring in the data at the transaction level. Is that correct?
We are, yes. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, we've fully parsed the. Yeah.
Okay. And then for a client, let's say the size is Cedars-Sinai,
Mm-hmm.
how much data, how many years can you bring in, and what's the size of an application like this?
They're large. So our other applications have, let's see, 5 years in the one. Yeah, so we have 5 years in one application, and then the other applications, we typically have 3 years worth of their data. The one application has roughly 50 million transactions in it, and then the others probably have 20, 25? Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. This one is more recent. This is our most recent developed product, and it probably has 3 years worth of data in it right now.
Starting in 2017.
2017? Oh, okay.
Through a tiny bit of Q3 2020.
Awesome, thank you. Yeah, it's tricky. It's a large volume of data, so
Mm-hmm.
performance is always something that we pay attention to.
We do have pretty large servers, yeah.
There's some other questions in the chat there too. I'm not sure if you're able to see them because you're presenting, but is this, you kind of talked about this transaction level, yes.
Mm-hmm.
Do payers ever pay a settlement that is not posted to accounts or transactions? This is
occasionally they do. Our clients have had pretty good success getting the payers to reprocess the claims in bulk and repay them once they've corrected the core issue. But there are times when they will want to do a settlement instead, and it's oftentimes like in this Aetna case, which is based on a real life scenario. They're likely to settle because they don't want to move any patient responsibility. They don't want patients to incur any patient responsibility on old balances or old services because it makes both the payer and the provider look bad. So we've seen it both ways, but for relatively recent underpayments, our clients have had very good success getting the payer to reprocess in bulk as long as we provide them the core data elements to identify those claims in their system.
Perfect. And another question is, you mentioned machine learning in the robotic, little image. Is machine learning used anywhere in this one that you can kind of call out?
Yes, to determine all of the contract rates that we're using. We're not loading. We do have systems where we load contract rates, but this one, we are not taking any contract rates. Our machine learning is determining what the contract rate should be for all of these situations.
Perfect. Note on, useful, thanks for sharing, definitely closes gaps in Epic. A little off topic, but a few people have asked this too, like, how are you anonymizing the data?
Yeah. We've gotten really good. We've gotten really good at using Click actually to substitute names and dates and everything. And yeah, it took us a while. This is probably our 10th go around at trying to do this over the years, and this one was pretty successful.
Yeah, Joe, and And Melissa, yeah, so this is very important for others to learn actually, because, you know, I've approached many people and they were very uncomfortable, obviously showing healthcare data. And so I don't know, maybe, perhaps we can have another session just on tricks on how to do that, right?
Yeah.
And so,
For just a quick one, mapping loads, we do a ton of mapping loads to replace things.
oh, nice.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, and then save the QBD so it doesn't take 10 years to load every time.
Yes. Another one was the extension name on the appeals data table. That's the custom report.
Yeah.
You know, nearly everything people have shown, this is not a commercial for Vizlib, but if you ever want to try this stuff out, it's free for up to 5 users. And so you can, I really like this one for replacing reports that people come to. And when you have apps that have tons of different tables, usually it means, you know, they're going to have different questions, and that you're just going to get another request for another table in your application. So this just gives your users that ability to ask their own questions really quickly. And it works with LS Analyzer licenses. So you see, Melissa doesn't have to hit edit to create a new report or have a new view of things. And I think that's, that saves a lot of people time and then resources as well.
I'll say, Joe, it's our most heavily utilized feature in our analytics applications, just for that very reason. It saves a query, it saves a report request. We just load as much relevant data as we can to keep a quickly moving application, but then let people determine what they need to bring out of the system. And I'm not being paid to say this. Our clients just love it. We actually try to get them to go to our visualizations page more and use them because they're useful. They just love custom reporting.
Did I miss any from up above? I guess, you know, thanks again for showing what you have here. I know we're right at the point where we said we'd wrap the call, but if other questions are coming on, I can stay on for a little bit. Others may need to drop, but I guess for the current speakers, thank you so much. And if you're up for it, I'd be happy to share your contact information if people have additional questions. Or you can just have them go through me or Claudia and we'll route them to you too. It's up to you. Just so you don't get 200 emails in your inbox tomorrow for the, you know, share that again.
Yeah.
But again, thank you so much. And yeah, thanks for people from other time zones jumping into getting up early or staying up very late. That's great. Thank you.
Thanks, everyone. Bye now.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Sounds good. All right. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Bye, guys.
Take care. Bye-bye. Thanks, Claudia.
Oh, you're welcome.